Thanks for coming out here. This is really, really cool. I mean, I think it's really funny that we actually met like a decade ago when you were a promoter,
hilarious.
and now you're here. I didn't even know until you texted me.
Yeah.
You know, but
Such a small world.
yeah. And the other thing is, it's just that I got interested in Circus because two people that I met that have been hanging out with me recently is Howard Marks, who is one of the main investors in like Atari and also to other video games like Call of Duty. And we were hanging out at Sing, which is the Speakers Author Networking Group. And I've also been hanging out for the last 6 months with a guy named Robert Siegler, who is from the Global Trust Group. He also is the head of the Harvard Club of Nevada. And my wife, she was getting a membership at Harvard Club New York, so she was the one interviewing her. And we started becoming friends and hanging out at my country club and everything. But I kept hearing about Circus from these two guys, and so I downloaded the app, and I got really fascinated about how I might be able to incorporate this into real social dynamics, and then get customers and potentially get people to our events, because you guys kind of invested this thing called crowdcasting, or
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you talk about what that concept is and how you developed that?
So basically, Circus is a technology-driven app that, using algorithms and AI, you're able to find influencers and match them up to brands. We're a dual-sided marketplace, and we're on demand, so it works kind of like Uber. But instead of calling a car, you're calling a crowd of people, anywhere, anytime, based on any demographic you want, with any kind of a reach. So currently we've got a database of 125,000 users, 300 million combined reach, and you could aggregate any combination of those users to promote your brand, your service, or your message. We could help potentially make something go viral for you, and that's why we exist.
I love how you are able to measure the reach as well, because I did an interview with a guy named Harvey McKay, and how you were measuring it was really interesting, because what he said to me, he wrote a book called Swimming with the Sharks, and he also is like the master networker. He wrote like 11 best-selling books about networking and business. And he says that every single person knows about 200 people really, really well. And you're basically going after people that are influencers and then having to reach out to their network and using it to get more people to events.
Right.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what you were doing as a promoter, but on a much more techie scale and a much larger scale. Is most of your focus mostly in Los Angeles now, or are you kind of all over the place in different target demographics right now?
I'd say right now we're at about 65% of our business is in Los Angeles, and then maybe another 15% in New York, a little bit in Miami, Chicago, a little Vegas, a little Austin, San Diego, a little bit San Francisco.
And then what you were talking about, some of the cool events that you were throwing. What do you think are the coolest events that you guys have partnered with so far?
Wow, that's a tough question. We've done a lot of events. I'd say that one of the most notable this year is Playboy did a rebranding party. They spent $3 to $4 million for the Super Bowl in San Francisco this past February. So they had a 50,000 square foot tent, open bar, complimentary food, all these celebrities, Mark Cuban, Puff Daddy, 50 Cent, Leo, like everybody you can imagine was here. However, in San Francisco, it's a very tech-driven city, and there's not a lot of women. So the challenge was, how can we get a ton of gorgeous women to really balance this party out? And they tasked us to get 750 potential Playboy quality models up to San Francisco. And we actually exceeded that and delivered 800.
That's great.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
And what I think is interesting is that you pay people to actually go to crazy events, and really classy events sometimes too. Like I think you're talking about the Golden Globes, Oscar, Emmys, or some of these kind of events, and people actually pay them $5 to go to events that people will pay $10,000 to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. Years ago, the influencer market was born through Instagram and some of these other channels where, Ami Song with 10 million followers might get paid $50,000 to go open up a Bloomingdale's in Japan and get paid $15,000 for a post. This has been going on for a lot of years. You've got these big talent agencies like CAA, ICM, William Morris representing this kind of talent and getting you these influencer packages with celebrity influencers. What we're doing is we're kind of doing the same thing, but we're curating organic influencers. So instead of one celebrity influencer at 10 million followers, why don't I get you 1,000 influencers at 100,000 followers each and get you millions of reach as well for a fraction of the cost, but with real voices, higher engagement, not a celebrity voice. So it's a different quality of a voice.
So basically, when you're naming an influencer, the influencers you're chasing are sometimes just normal people that just have a soul circle. They're actively going out there.
Let me give you this scenario. Like, let's say you've got this random uncle of yours that you don't even talk to that much, and he's got 200 followers on Instagram. Doesn't sound like he's much of an influencer, right? But let's say all he does is talk about Harley Davidson, and all of his pictures are Harley Davidson, and all of his friends on Instagram are Harley fans. If I could curate 3,000 of your uncle kind of dudes within a 5-mile radius of Austin, Texas for South by Southwest for Harley event activation, that could be worth a lot of money to a particular brand, like Harley. Or
definitely. Let's
say Ducati or Moto Guzzi, who wants to try to convert Harley fans. You know, it's a great way to hyper target and take your message and, you know, extend it with real voices.
The cool thing about Circus to me is that it's taking networking and it's very like innovative in terms of like how you're doing the networking. And I've never really thought about actually like paying people to go to awesome epic events that people would pay to go to. It's just so innovative. But at the same time, if there was a chance for me to like get people that have a large reach or I need to fill it, you know, like for example, one of the things that we're thinking about trying and that we're going to try this week is filling the RSC free tour, which is 50 influencers, to see if we could get people who are not knowing about who we are and see if they were the kind of people that fit our target demographic and could turn into clients. I could see this working for us, and if it did work for us, I see you doing this for resorts, for timeshare presentations. I could see you doing this for any kind of client. Hey, I'll pay you to go to this free vacation to Las Vegas or Hawaii or what have you. I could see you doing this for all sorts of really cool movies, like extras. I could see you doing this for people that are interested in breaking into certain kinds of events that are hosted by certain kinds of people and people who are following or addicted to these kind of things, like in cosplay or gaming.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. You'd have to look up somebody who is really into anime, perhaps, and then maybe someone who's been to the Anime Expo here in Los Angeles, where I think something like 1 million people go to these things. Or let's say that's people like Comic-Con, and then you've got half a million people going to Comic-Con every year dressing up as different characters. That's something that we could potentially curate.
Well, as the Chief Creative Officer for Circus, what do you actually do in terms of your day-to-day, and how do you grow Circus, especially in the startup phase?
So we're still very much a startup, but when we originally launched, this was about 1 year and 4 months ago, I thought I could take my skill set, which is producing experiential events in and around Los Angeles with a focus on celebrity integration, and kind of migrate it into the technology, bring in those experiential brands, the celebrity aspect of it, and then kind of push it as a marketing angle. But since I joined, I haven't been able to really focus so much on the marketing, because as a startup, you're always focused on growth. So a lot of my energy has been on raising capital. I've raised over $1 million in the past year. Didn't even know I was in the business of raising capital because I've never done it before. But when you're passionate about something, I think people can really resonate with your passion, and if they believe in you, they want to be a part of it. And the sales, so I generate over 50% of my company's revenue every month for the past year. Hopefully that number will slowly get down as we scale our sales department. But right now, mostly my day-to-day has been in sales, business development, joint ventures, partnerships, collaborations, and sponsorships. I don't know if I just said that already or not.
Well, I love the idea of curating experiential events in a very creative way, because that's something that I've been doing since I was a teenager, organizing. When I was 12, I used to volunteer as a promoter for a bar that had rock and roll bands. I hang out backstage after passing out flyers in the streets to people. And then when I got into boarding school, I used to rent out clubs with a fake ID that said I was over 21, and then have all my high school friends go in. Then when I went into college, I started renting out bigger events, like motor yachts, and hosting things for Playboy. And then I eventually went into renting out mansions and helping out our mutual friend Michael Sutton with his parties with Xeni.
Right,
and then getting girls and promoters involved with that stuff. And it's really, really cool to see how that process has changed for me from like being a promoter of events and nightlife, and then organizing. Now we do over 1,000 events a year, 270 cities and 70 countries, but for dating advice seminars.
Wow, very impressive.
And what you do is you took what you did. You were also very deep into the promoting and hospitality industry, promoting Mood, which is one of the top nightclubs. I used to get ball service there all the time back in the day, and then also as the general manager of the best steakhouse in town. And how did you take those skills, and how do you think those skills helped you within this unique tech company?
Sure. So I joined Mastro's in 2002 as a floor manager, and then I rose up the ranks to become the GM, and I left as the GM of Mastro's in 2006. And I wanted a little better quality of life, because a restaurant is literally, as a GM, you're getting there at 10 a.m. and sometimes you're there till midnight. And as Mastro's is expanding at the time, I think I trained in 7 GMs that final year, and I constantly had somebody shadowing me, and it was just exhaustive. And then when Mood was opening up, that was kind of pitched to me as the first super club of LA, because LA didn't really have a strong nightlife scene back in 05, 06. And when you look at the hours of, let's say, a nightclub general manager, you may not have to get there till 8 p.m. and then you're done at 2 a.m. and your lifestyle is just a lot better. However, the two things that both of those experiences had in common were I was able to meet a lot of incredible people, high net worth, captains of industry, celebrities, and I amassed this massive database. And when I left Mood to start my own events and experiential production company, that really helped. They always say it's such a cliche that, your network is your net worth, but it really is. Your network is everything. And I mean, you know that more than anyone, but that's what really helped launch that experiential industry. And now fast forward to 2016, if you look at the experiential industry as a whole, you're looking at companies like Nike spending $10 billion a year on marketing. And how many billions of that is an experiential when you're launching, let's say, LeBron James's next shoe in 35 cities with 3,000, Nike fans in all of those events. And then you take all the Fortune 500 companies in the world and their experiential budgets, it's a really huge market. So that was the opportunity that I saw with Circus and how we could apply that towards this existing massive experiential industry, which you're very familiar with.
So are you promoting not just other people's experiential events, but also organizing your own through Circus?
So eventually we will produce our own events in-house for Circus. But right now we're just a tool to help other companies launch and promote their service, message, and products. But in order to gain market share, we're going to want to produce our own events at some point and then get that branding out there.
Ever since Xeni disappeared, the most popular thing that my friends who knew me from back then always ask is, when can you create something that is like Xeni? And just this reminds me about how fun that lifestyle was, and like how you could use that networking leverage from all these like fun things and actually turn it into like this profitable business. I just love what's going on with what you're doing out here with all this.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Xeni was an incredible time. That was a great party.
Yeah, I made pretty much all my networks and contacts from that party life. I was curious, like, since you were in the nightlife industry, did you get connected into the tech world also because of all the people that you met through socializing and the nightclub business, the hospitality industry, and what have you?
I'd say, yeah, I met a lot of contacts through nightlife and hospitality. There's some incredibly high net worth individuals. I mean, if you look at just every captain of industry or anybody who's been hyper successful, there's social life is a big part of their life. Maybe not now, but in the past, or at some point, maybe in the future. But nightlife and hospitality will always be a part of our lives in some form or another. So I was able to tap into that, I think.
Most of my career, I would say that the majority of my good friends and my contacts and the people that have advised me on how to build my company or join my company has been through me treating the nightclubs I've been going to or the elite parties as part of my office. And I think that it's very rare that I meet someone who probably has some similar experiences in that. So I think that's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I love how you have technology involved, because I've always been really hardcore myself into technology and just growing technology. My dad was a computer science professor, became the president of RAI, and I also have uncles and their family members that were on the boards of major corporations. Like one of my uncles was huge investor in ASUS and AOL.
Okay.
And I've really been fascinated by technology and how you could design the technology to actually hit the influence on a major scale. It's kind of cool because what you're doing is you're taking an event that is somewhere else and you're trying to combine like Facebook and all the elements that social media could use to kind of advertise things. I've never heard anyone doing that other than like posting things like on events and what have you. The design of it, I think, is going to be really key to your success. Yeah. Are you really involved with the design, the look and the layouts, and are you continually optimizing that too?
Yeah, we're always trying to optimize it. We're currently looking for amazing world-class user experience people, user interface people. I don't have a lot to do in terms of the overall look and the feel, but in terms of the functionality, I'm very hands-on. I'm always looking for bugs. I'm always looking for better ways to increase the user experience, make it better, faster, more comfortable for our users and more efficient. So that's something that I'm always very conscious of.
Also, just curious also because since I know them, I'm curious, how does Robert and how does Howard help you guys?
So Robert Sigler, who you mentioned earlier, is actually one of our earliest investors, and he continuously invests with us. He's very passionate about us. And Howard was possibly maybe one of the first 3 angel investors with us. So both are really incredible, bright minds, highly intelligent human beings, and very happy to call them friends.
The advice that these guys give you, are they kind of shaping the direction of the company a lot, just as much as, say, like an executive of the company, or are they more there to kind of just like let you guys do your own thing? Like, how does the relationship work between you and your investors?
Sure. I see them, about once a month for the board meetings, or we might have some investor events and such. But they're not necessarily hands off, but they kind of let us do our thing, and then they'll give us some advice in terms of capital raise and some of the things that we may not really understand as well, some of the nuances of growing a small tech startup. But in terms of operations, they kind of let us handle that.
Now, one of the things I think that got Howard interested in sending me to you guys is because I'm all about connecting influencers with our business. Mm-hmm. So I was curious about, you talked about how you're not necessarily focusing on the celebrity influencers, but will there be some kind of aspect where celebrity influencers will be involved with this? I guess you talked about how you're connecting people that are more like ordinary folks who are just kind of influencers in and of itself, who are passionate and really, really interested in particular topics or niches. They can promote that niche. What about those influencers that are the celebrities? How are you planning to partner with those kind of people? So
we're definitely not focused on the celebrity influencers. In terms of the people that manage celebrity influencers, there's so many entities. You've got these huge agencies like CAA, ICM, William Morris. They all have influencer divisions. Mm-hmm. You've got companies like Instabrand, and some of these other Full Screens and Maker Studios. You've got all these networks that kind of are in that space already for the celebrity influencers. We thought it would be a bigger space to go after the organic influencers, the everyday folks, whereas you might look at just a regular general population kind of individual. And even that person, they may not be a celebrity influencer, but they are probably passionate about a couple brands. Maybe they love Nike Air Max 90s. Maybe they love shopping at Topshop. Maybe they love reading Uncrate magazine. And there's something that everybody is passionate about. So that person could be tapped into an organic influencer in my eyes. In terms of our strategy for working with celebrity influencers, we're totally not against it. And if anybody wants to join our platform, we're more than happy to have them, of course, and we can package them into different influencer packages that we can resell to brands and advertisers. It's not part of what we're doing at the moment, but we're definitely open to it in the future. Well,
there's so many parallels between what you do and what Uber is, and then you were mentioning that earlier. And I was just curious about, because I just think it's so cool that you could actually make money, but will there be enough impactful positions available for people so they can make a livelihood off it and just do that full time, kind of like Uber drivers?
It's so funny. Recently I went to an event and I was talking to one of our power users, someone that goes to a lot of events, and she just paid her rent last month off of Circus. I never thought that could happen, because some of these events are only paying $5, $20, $25, up to $100. That's the majority of the events. And then above that, $150, $200, $500, $1,000. Those are more high-level atmosphere models or, featured extras in movies. But yeah, it is possible that you could pay a significant portion of your bills through Circus. It's already happened.
I mean, I'm such a fan of creative networking that I would love to see the kind of social media promotional marketing campaigns you guys do, like all the events. It's like the concept of it is just so unique to me. I would personally subscribe to a YouTube channel where I can just see all the events you guys are promoting and people being brought from Circus into there, just because I think it's so unique and so kind of cool. And I think it kind of helps both you and the brand and the people who are engaged, like everyone. It's like a total win-win. It's just such a powerful concept. I wish that I came up with this idea. It's so awesome.
Well, it's not too late for you to be a part of it.
Yeah, you know, I'm definitely going to get involved with seeing how you guys are working with us in terms of RSD for sure.
Yeah, we definitely look forward to getting to know you better and seeing how we could work together.
Yeah, but the concept behind everything that you guys are doing is just so fun. I guess like being in the space of doing YouTube videos all the time. I guess when I think about you guys, I just think in my head all the kind of like ways you could feature yourself in a video format, whether it's like a TV series or movies or just YouTube videos and social media promoting what you do. I guess one of the things that I also noticed though was when I was trying to kind of like learn more about you guys, it was kind of limited just to articles as opposed to...
You mean our press?
Yeah, as opposed to like going to your website and fully understanding and seeing examples of all the events you promoted. So that's why I wanted to reach out to your company and reached out to your guy Brandon and talk to you.
A little bit. We've had a little bit of a conundrum because a lot of the brands that use us, they don't want other people to know they're using us. Oh. So if a nightclub is hiring, like this Monday, there's gonna be a nightclub that's gonna hire 75 gorgeous looking atmosphere models for their nightclub experience. They don't necessarily want to promote that they're using us because essentially if you dig deep, oh, okay, now you come into the fact that you might be paying people to attend, which is kind of true. We do influence our influencers to attend, but if you're paying someone $20 to go somewhere, that basically covers their Uber ride. You know, at the end of the day, we're trying to match users to the events that they want to go to. You know, we're matching the personalities to the personality of the brand, and that's where our success metric lies.
Well, I could definitely see that for nightclubs and parties where the people who are going there should be really engaged with that kind of event. Yes. On the other hand, I could totally see you for companies that want to utilize Circus to actually convert some of these influencers into customers. That's definitely a marketing channel now. Something that I see could potentially bring in a significant amount of revenue for enterprises. And I mean, if I was to you know, be like a corporation, for example, like a sports stadium, and I invite people to go to a game, that's part of it. But maybe if I'm generating enough revenue off the alcohol or food and everything and sporting merchandise, that the profit's still there, I would just keep doing that and fill every empty seat using a service like yours or something similar.
Absolutely. There's so many creative ways that you could utilize Circus. I mean, you could take a Major League Baseball team that's not doing so well, maybe they're selling 8,000 tickets, on a Thursday night somewhere in the Midwest, and why not hire, 30 hyper fans of your team, let's say you're the Baltimore Orioles, and then let's body paint everybody in black, white, and orange and have them, just create these crazy signs and try to create viral video content on behalf of the brand, and maybe we can make them look like real fans.
So I guess the thing is, I've never been a part of a startup. I kind of was a startup initially. I mean, I created Real Social Dynamics, but it wasn't like the typical startup where you kind of just get a ton of money so you can just hit the ground running. And we kind of just grew our company organically. You guys took investor money and you had that 7-figure growth button from the beginning to kind of push yourself. So you guys could, from the very, very beginning, structure the company exactly like how you wanted to structure it by getting the chief level people in the right shoes, in the right positions. Yeah. How did you guys structure that company?
I would love to say that we tried to structure it, but it wasn't that perfect. When I first joined the company, there wasn't a lot of funds in the bank, and we were just doing everything we could to kind of scramble and keep the lights on. Initially the app was it was a nightclub app. It was a way to get atmosphere models to nightclubs, and that was it. And then as we grew, we figured out all these other verticals. We casted Afrojack's music video in under 12 hours. We're filling concert stadiums, we're filling sporting events, movie premieres. We're doing social media campaigns. So it was more than nightclubs. And then as we expanded, we weren't able to hit a break-even point at any time, but we've gotten very close. And then as we kind of scaled the business, scaled the users, and the customer base, we were able to scale revenue as well. And the combination of that helped to attract more investors. And then as we got better people in, we onboarded Stephen George, who's our COO. He was the number 5 employee from Groupon. So he brought a great resume with him. He helped attract a lot of money. And then between me, Stephen, and Forrest, we're the 3 co-founders. We were able to raise a significant amount of capital in the last 6 to 8 months, and now we're up at a place where we're poised to grow 10x over the next 3 years, and that's our trajectory. That's what we realistically think we could accomplish.
So into my business, I could totally see your business being the kind of company where you could just get an army of volunteers and passionate interns that just want to be a part of your company. I think it's so much fun. I know that if I was in college, this would be one of the things that I'd want to be an intern at.
It's definitely a fun time. It's super exciting, and the people who are involved with it, very passionate. At every one of our events, we have what's called a Circus ambassador, and Circus ambassadors are also paid as well as the circus goers, but the ambassadors aren't getting paid as much as they could be or should be, but they're doing it as, because they're passionate about the brand, just like you said. And we've got an army of ambassadors, and these ambassadors help extend the brand. They take care of our users, our clients, and help us grow and pretty organically.
Are these guys kind of paid per event as opposed to a salary?
Per event.
Yeah.
So after every event, the app checks you in to the event. We put a geofence around every event. So the moment that you enter the geofence, you're checked in, and the moment you leave, you're checked out. So we know if you leave early, we won't bill the client and we won't pay the user. We'll count them as a no-show, and then their user rating actually goes down, and they don't get invited to as much. But after every event, that user gets paid immediately through our PayPal, and then the ambassador gets their fees immediately as well.
Are ambassadors paid a significant amount more than an attendee, or is it just?
No, it's usually double the amount of what an attendee may.
I think that's a great model. I could totally see that working for our Facebook groups, because we have 300 Facebook groups in 300 different cities. Right now, it's all volunteers. They have like a regular phone call meeting. None of them are paid. But at the same time, we have a large churn rate. I don't know what the retention rate is of what you guys are doing or how long it's going to be, but I know that our churn rate, our guys will maybe last in leadership positions as our ambassadors, but we would call them inner circle board leaders for like a year. But I'm curious about whether we got them involved with some kind of compensation structure, if it would help keep them engaged or not. I'm also concerned that once I go down that route, you can't really go back.
That's right. That's right. I think it definitely helps for us. We've had a pretty steady stream of ambassadors that we've had for a good solid year in 4 months. We've had a few drop off here and there. Some people move. Some people have actually helped us open new markets because of that. But yeah, they've stayed loyal, but I don't know what our churn rate necessarily is because we're not old enough quite yet. But yeah, the ambassador fee does definitely help. That incentivizes them. Because
you guys were created, what, 2 years ago?
Technically, yeah, about 2.5 years ago if you count development. Yeah.
I count development for sure.
Okay.
I always say RSD was created in 2002 because we had 2 years where we're just developing the curriculum, traveling around, and we had this idea for a company. We're still helping people. Mm-hmm. It's just that back then, people were kind of just giving us free places to crash as opposed to giving us revenue.
Okay.
And it wasn't until 2004 that we actually incorporated the company. Mm-hmm. But back then, we were just asking money for like covering our costs of our lodging, giving us some money for like hotel, and that was it.
Yeah. But it sounds like you guys have always been in the black, huh?
We've always been in the black until the recession hit in 2008. We were Inc. magazines, the top 500 or 5,000 companies, and we were in the various lists, like Inc. 5000 for the country, then number 86 for companies based out of California in terms of fastest growing companies. Mm-hmm. But even though we're one of the fastest growing companies, and we were in the black up until then, when that recession hit, people stopped traveling to LA. So I started losing $6,000 a day overall in the net until I was $500,000 in debt. And we just didn't want to change the business model. At that time, in order to get us out of that business model, where people would fly to LA, visit us at a mansion in the Hollywood Hills, crash here in a room that was full of bunk beds and pay us $2,000 a weekend. I created this crazy idea where I ripped out a map from the back of an airline magazine, took all the cities on the map, put them on the schedule on the internet, and just flew to them. And then did a kind of like a timeshare presentation, but way more cool videos. People go out in the field to pick up girls, to be video recorded, we critique it. It's called the RC Free Tour. It's actually the event that you guys are, I think, attending on Thursday.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's the one that we heard about.
But it's now a totally different event.
So after the recession, that caused you to pivot your business.
To go global. So instead of people having to fly to us, we would send guys to fly to them. And as a result, they wouldn't have to take all this time off work to fly somewhere and then fly back. All they have to do is just show up to their local bars and clubs in the weekend, or go to
like a concert tour. You're going to hit like 20 different markets nationwide, and everybody knows the schedule in advance.
Yeah.
And you never did that before.
We didn't do it on that scale. We were maybe like in 10 cities internationally, and then we had LA, and we would do each of these cities like once a year. But now we go to all these cities like all the time, and we have a team of people that travel around the road and have a little entourage of camera crew, sales, marketing, administration, and instructors, and then they create videos on these various YouTube channels in our network.
And when they're creating videos, are these videos of actual exercises where students are going up and approaching?
They'll do exactly that, and they also will do instructional videos with cool backdrops. So if they're in Brazil, they might go down to Rio and do it on Copacabana Beach. If they're in New York, they might do it while walking through Times Square with like a Ronin camera following them around. If they're in Hawaii, they might be doing it on a mountainside overlooking the ocean. Just to show people the lifestyle these guys are living and something to aspire to, motivate people. In fact, we have a channel called RC Motivation where just inspirational quotes with our guys doing really epic things.
Interesting. I'd love to have you or somebody from your team come into our office and give our sales team a little training. How to approach, how to close, how to build rapport, things of that nature.
That'd be awesome. We could totally do that.
I would love to do that.
In fact, we did exactly that for Cisco.
For Cisco, the tech company?
The tech company.
This is the main idea in terms of your confidence, is unplugging from groupthink. And you'll see groupthink everywhere. You'll see it all around you. You'll see it in your meetings when you know that a bad decision is being made and you know that people are going along with different ideas. And if you want to be an innovator, you have to be able to challenge that. And not in a conflicting way, not in a way that offends people, but you have to very calmly and from a very centered place challenge those ideas.
They want us to do that.
Interesting.
And we also did that for a real estate company called BizNow. We went into their company, and not only did we talk about it, we would then go to a convention and actually do the cold walk-ups, and then getting them to meet up after getting their number, exchanging building rapport at the Ritz for an advertising contract where they tried to close them on a contract.
That could be a huge ancillary business for you.
That's exactly what I want to do, and that's exactly why I created this new YouTube channel. I created this YouTube channel earlier this year where we talk about how the concepts you learn from cold approach from girls can be used for business. So the day I created the YouTube channel, I went down to make booking plans, go back to LA and meet with my business partner, Owen. And we went to our house in the hills. And in the next 5 days, I created a product, a membership site, where you have a couple dozen hours of video. I literally sat in a chair, and I was probably having back issues. I was sitting down like this, looking into a camera, and just talked. And I just went out until I had 10 hours later, okay, cool, I'm done for the day. I created the first few modules of my program, and then I started doing interviews. And it was just for the product. But I had so much fun. I love the excuse of being able to reach out to other people like yourself and just connect and share ideas so much as a passion project, because it got me out of there just doing operations and phone calls and business meetings.
Right.
I just wanted to continue. So I created the YouTube channel more as a program and passion project for myself. And about a month into it, I just got so much feedback on it. I was like, well, you know what? I should actually turn this into all the businesses that we've been interested in creating. So I used to do this for fun. So one of my good friends and advisors is Tony Shea. I organized 3 events at his home where I brought in
Zappos?
Zappos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I invited like 50 to 100 people 3 times to his home. And back then he had a place called the Ogden, which was this largest apartment complex that was in the center of downtown Vegas. And he gave us 100 condos just to fill it with influential CEOs everyone from your friends at Groupon, the founders of Groupon, and founders of Uber, the founders of various social media platforms, or influencers like the guys from The Secret, best-selling authors, and we just would hang out and just share ideas for a few days. And then we also rented out these mini castles in Vegas. 'Cause I live in Vegas primarily. I just come down to LA once a week or once every other week just to network with guys like yourself.
Sure.
Go to charity events like tomorrow. And actually tomorrow I have a reality show, a charity event, and then a board meeting.
That's a heck of a schedule.
Random things like that. And I'll come down once a week for things like that. But I love Vegas. It's the most fun city for me.
I love this idea of you taking your concept and then applying it towards other businesses, technology, other verticals, sales. I wonder what collaborations that our RSD and Circus could have in terms of, could you and I collaborate and come up with some kind of a program where we take influencers, train them in a certain way to sell, pitch products for other companies and brands at experiential events. Could you and I collaborate in that way? Could we create case studies? Could we show brands how to optimize their pitch, their product, their service?
Yeah, like influencer training events would be definitely cool for companies. And also I could also see you getting involved with some of the influencer gatherings. For example, here we're organizing an influencer event for like 40 to 50 influencers, like major influencers, best-selling authors, YouTube celebrities, and what have you. Just people to share ideas. And I think of matching influencers with companies like your own is kind of like the key. I think that's why Robert and Howard, both of them told me to reach out to you guys. And I downloaded the app and I was thinking, I don't really see the platform for how I should organize events. I didn't really go too deep into it. So I wanted just to reach out to you and get a clarity on that. But I could totally see the direction you're going and all the angles. Just way too many creative angles.
There's so many different ways you could utilize the platform. Yeah, there's ways that I don't even know.
The educational part I love also. I could totally see you guys having your own vlog to like advertise and educate companies about Circus, because I think that a lot of people don't even realize. I mean, I instantly get it. I'm into the business of this networking and social dynamics, and so I got it instantly. I could totally see if you having to. This is such an esoteric product. I totally see though educating people on all the different angles that you could creatively utilize this concept, because it just goes in so many different directions. And then taking what you're doing, if people can develop a close from people that are from Circus, then I could totally see your business model working for almost any business out there, not just bars and clubs, but retail places, restaurants, stores, even online businesses. I could see them.
Absolutely.
Because we made our money from taking it online, taking it into the event world. I could see pretty much any kind of business utilizing platforms. It's already really doing is just getting targeted high quality customers in front of the right people. You just said you're doing it in a very bizarre way that no one's ever thought of before.
And deliberately with 100% accuracy. But you pose an interesting question, because a lot of our customers, they don't know what Circus is. They don't know how to use Circus. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach for us. We're not just trying to sell Circus, but we also need to teach them how to use Circus. Case in point, we spoke to a really high volume restaurant recently, but they're not very busy on a Monday and Tuesday. So we pitched them on getting 10, 20 female influencers who are fashion forward and foodies to their venues to make it look busy. And their chef and their owners, they're like, hey, we've got this incredible brand. We don't need to pay people to attend, blah, blah, blah. And I said, but what about if we could have them extend their social and amplify you on social? And they're like, well, we don't really know what that is. What exactly would that look like? So we said, well, why don't we get 20 people with 50,000 followers, and now you've got like 1 million reach for a fraction of the cost of a celebrity influencers. For maybe $200 and a couple of comp meals, you're getting 1 million reach, and you're exploiting a new product, a new summer menu, a new prefix menu.
Yeah, I think that just getting that message out there, because it's just so clean, just getting that out there again and again and showing case study after case study after case study to people, I think people will just start getting it. I mean, do you guys have the social media out there already? I haven't really done any research on this.
In terms of our own brand, no, we haven't been pushing the Circus brand as much, but again, because we're more of a service that's there to help extend your brand. But eventually, once we get to a point where there's a certain comfort level using Circus, then we really want to get our own brand.
Yeah, because I could totally see you guys blow up as soon as any business realizes what you guys are doing, and after you guys have really solidified that model. I mean, I myself instantly got it.
Yeah, we'd love to do a case study with you.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you could come up with a creative opportunity. You know, it's kind of like cognitive hacking what we're doing. You know, when Best Buy has a Black Friday sale and you've got, you know, hundreds of people camping out for a few days. What about if we started that line with 100 people? How much bigger would that line then be?
Well, I also would be curious if those guys actually would buy from Black Friday. Maybe they got like a benefit or like a discount or something, but I bet that Best Buy on Black Friday would actually make a profit even from your users in and of itself. I also am curious about those people who have just refined commissioned businesses, whether it's financial instrument sales or whether it's something like a timeshare. If you had those guys as customers, I'm curious if those guys could actually convert your members into sales. And also, I think your Circus guys, the guys who are paying to go to those events, might even appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's no reason why our influencers can't be actual customers, and there's no reason why they can't be your perfect hyper-targeted customers.
Yeah.
You know, we recently signed $1 million social media user engagement campaign with a rideshare app, and you know, there's a huge battle going on between all the ride shares, and there's a lot of money being thrown around, and people are desperate to onboard new users, and we were able to give them a significant amount of new user acquisition. So we weren't able to fulfill the entire campaign, but it was a great case study on what we could potentially do in the future.
Well, I know that people are usually very appreciative of so naturally, and I think that if someone was, say, given like free rides on a service they didn't use, like a Lyft user got an Uber account and he got like free rides, I could totally see that person just converting permanently to Uber. It's like, well, I'd already downloaded the app, might as well just keep going.
Right. Once you've tried it and you're in, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I can totally see that happen for the people that you sent to the W Hollywood. I bet a lot of those people are now going back there, and some of them might even be regulars.
You're absolutely right. We see a ton of people who actually continuously say the Circus list just to gain entry. And you know, we try to bring in new users every Sunday. We don't try to double up every other week, but we see a lot of the same faces.
Yeah. For me, I think a lot of it's going to be just seeing how like the app develops, how friendly it is, and like how users and corporations look at it. And I think if it's like something that's really easy to use, I haven't really done a lot of research into it. I just downloaded it and I was like, okay, well, let me just cut to the chase into one specific thing I want. But if it's super friendly, super usable, I could totally see this being the thing that really works.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the low-hanging fruit, we could do one of those events or seminars that we were talking about at your gorgeous palatial estate here, and then maybe we could have 100 of your RSD students have, you know, a reception, a post-event reception with hundreds of Circus girls per se, you know, and have what is it called when you're doing like
matchmaking
demos, infield practice.
Infield practice. Well, I think that for us, the parties that we hold at this house especially, you know, it's usually people that are already on a very tight list before they get here. For our customers, I think the ideas of, for me, it's more interesting for getting the guys in there as opposed to the girls, because our list for girls, I'd rather have our students learn how to build that list themselves or utilize the list that I built, because we are involved with building soul circles, and I think that people can build their soul circles through things like this. I'd be more inclined to do it for a business level, because I think that my concern about getting girls that are paid to go to a party doesn't necessarily show that the students or my guys have actually hooked them into the party in and of itself. Whereas for guys, a lot of it's about customer retention, acquisition, stuff like that.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of what we're doing in terms of like cold approach and also our soul circle stuff, because we have a product that was developed by one of our instructors named Luke, called Soul Circle Blueprint, where he talks about how to build soul circles and how to acquire and attract girls in your soul circle. Because a lot of guys are not leveraging the technologies out there. I'm curious about where Circus would be good for that. I mean, most of it right now, though, is about how he leverages his personality.
You know, a lot of it, I think, has to come with a lot of practice. And I think in that scenario, that's how Circus could probably be used as like a practice scenario. You know, where guys could, you know, learn how to talk to, how to host their own groups, because that's kind of a talent in itself. The average human being isn't really born with that skill set. That's definitely an acquired skill.
Yeah, for me, I grew up throwing parties, but I didn't know how to convert these girls into dating situations. And so that's one of the things that got me into pickup, and that's how we built our company. For you, I think that the need arose from, I don't even know, how did the need arise for you to create this company?
To create Circus?
Yeah.
So I didn't necessarily create it. Forrest Zuckerman, who is our founder and the CEO, he created it. It was originally a nightclub app, something to send girls to certain parties. And then when he and I met, I introduced him to the experiential marketplace. And then that's kind of how we built it. But Forrest originally was a nightclub investor, and you know, in his mind, he didn't keep wanting to pay nightclub promoters to bring girls to his nightclub, and it would be the same set of girls week after week, and he was paying them an exorbitant amount of money. Why can't there be an app to figure out what kind of people I want and have them come to us, take that marketing budget, advertising budget, promotional budget, and why don't we just pass the money directly to the user?
It totally makes sense. I knew a guy in New York who was a male model for Ford, and he always had a dozen beautiful models hang out with him. And he used to go to the same club every single week, get a free table, get a free limousine, and he actually made $3,000 a month just doing that. Okay. Just partying. Sure. You know, and that was only like 3 times a week. So the concept that you have here is just kind of giving people a chance to do that.
Yeah, on the most basic primal level, at the end of the day, sex sells, and that sex appeal means something tangible to some of these image-conscious businesses. If you look at the highest-grossing restaurants and nightclubs and lounges, hotels in LA, it is about that sex appeal. You know, if you go to a venue and you know they kind of pitch themselves as a little bit of a scene, you're expecting to see that, and it's very much a part of the fabric of their DNA. And they need to represent that properly. Again,
corporations see the people that you've chose, or can they actually pick and choose particular people from your network?
At this time, we don't allow them to pick and choose because there's too many users who are professional catfishers in a way.
Catfishers?
Yeah. Have you heard of have you ever been catfished? No. The movie Catfish, where somebody poses to be somebody they're not online, and the picture is not them, or it's really optimized so they look nothing like that person in real life. That happens in dating apps quite a bit. So a lot of our users, some of our power female influencers, really know how to optimize their looks, and they may look like a Wilhelmina model in the picture, but then in person, it might be a very different looking. So because of our ambassadors, we have a back-end user rating in the dashboard, and we know exactly, we pick the pictures that are most authentic, not the ones that they can post. So we put up the pictures that are most authentic to what they actually look like.
You choose the pictures yourself?
So when you download the Circus app, you have to link your Facebook account to activate it and your PayPal. So then you're able to upload your 6 best profile pictures. However, on the back end, we can also load up pictures from the Facebook, which are most accurate in terms of what you actually look like. Okay.
So after you've done all that, what would stop you from, because now you've cleaned away to make really clean profiles. What would stop you from then having business owners now choose from these accurately created or more accurately created profiles?
So at some point in the future, that's something that we're discussing, where we could potentially let clients pick and choose. We're just not confident in the system, we're not confident in the system for the accuracy as of yet. Gotcha. We just want to have good experiences for the users and the customers right now.
Yeah, as a business owner, if I could target, say, hey, I know these people from these particular demographics, this much median income, this much college education or interests in these particular kinds of people, because like for us, a lot of our user base are people that have decided they are fans of self-improvement in general. So if I knew that they're fans of particular authors or particular people,
Right.
or particular brands, because I know that people will fan page their favorite brands. If I knew what similar brands, I think that would allow me to also use your platform to establish joint venture partnering with events, joint venture partnering with the people in your network.
Yeah. We recently did an LA grand opening pop-up for a company called Boohoo. It's out of UK. They're 500% more revenue than Nasty Gal, which is the biggest US online retailer. And so they wanted us to target fans of Nylon Magazine, people who shop at Topshop, who shop at Zara. So these are similar price points. And we were able to hyper-target for that, and we were able to fill their pop-up grand opening to 100% capacity. And this was at 6 p.m. on a Monday in Westwood. So LA traffic, it's quite the challenge. But we're able to really hyper-target who we thought would be fans of Boohoo and who were actually fans. And so that was a great experience for our users and the customer in that scenario. We're definitely available in a lot of different markets: New York, Chicago, Miami, Vegas, Austin, San Francisco, San Diego, LA. In LA, we've got 50,000 user base. Our total user base, I don't know if I told you, is about 125,000 with a combined 300 million reach on Instagram. So if you are a business, a product, service, or a message, and you need or want help to extend your brand, we're there to help you and try to help you go viral if we can.
Cool, awesome, bro. Thanks. Cheers.
Pleasure. Cheers. Thank you.